Welcome, Who You Listening To podcast listeners. This is Marky B, and this is Who You Listening To podcast. And I want our Who You Listen To listeners and those who are joining us to welcome my main man, Nathan Washam, to the podcast today. Oh, whoop, 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 whoop.
What's good, baby?
What's up,
What's
man?
good? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
Just celebrated your birthday.
I know, man. In your state, too, Louisiana.
I know. I heard. You enjoy yourself?
Hey, man. It was awesome. You know, I had to go get some good food now.
Uh-huh. She was telling me a little bit, you had them boudin. I know you had that boudin.
Oh, man, I was shocked. And I even tried some oysters, man.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Oh, man, they was pretty good. I don't know about going the raw version yet.
I get it, but the strawberry?
Oh, my goodness.
Can you touch it?
No, like literally,
It's so good.
it's crazy how it's like
It's so,
really meaty.
It's so good. It's so good.
Oh, and
Man, that's good to hear. And it's 29, right?
29.
Congrats, my brother.
Bro, I appreciate
Blessings.
it, man.
Blessings. Happy belated, my friend.
Hey, thanks,
Happy
man.
belated, my
It's like I'm knocking at 34, man.
Hey, we can just keep putting that off for a little bit.
Oh, right.
Just push it down the road.
Right. Just kick it down the road, man. But first off, I want to say make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe to the podcast. And let's just jump right in to what we got to talk about today.
Take us
man.
away, my friend.
I know, man. Hey, next time we got to go together to Louisiana,
I know,
man.
that's what I'm
Check it
saying.
out.
That's what I'm saying.
So, going back to the topic for today, we're talking about the inner me, man.
Mm-hmm.
The inner me. So, I thought about this. I said, so many of us use our light to make sure that others can be seen. Mm-hmm. But the question is, with all of that energy being used, how do we avoid losing ourselves in the midst of helping and guiding others? Yeah, what's your thoughts, man?
That's a good question, dog. That's honestly something I struggle with in my life personally, just because I have a very big need to help others. It's kind of what drives me on a day-to-day basis. My job revolves around it, and kind of my own personal ethos revolves around that.
Yeah.
But I do that a lot of times at the expense of myself. And it took me, I don't even think to this day I have a full grasp of knowing how to not lose myself in the process. I'm still learning that to this day. I think a lot of it for me now is like I've gotten to a place where I'm starting to try to find that balance, and I'm getting better at it. It's not quite as bad as when I was 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah. Especially right around that 20, 21 age as men, we start getting that
Right,
freedom, that feeling like, we men now.
Right.
We made it out of the teenage years.
Without really knowing what it is.
Not really understanding, so we feel like we should be helping more than we are.
Right.
I realize that we're still kids at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so back then, I lost myself completely trying to take care of my ex at the time, wanting to help out my family, my brother, my mom, grandparents, all that. And I just kind of lost sight of myself. When I moved down here, I kind of hit the reset button. But over time, fell right back into the same trap.
Right.
And looked up, lost myself again. And it's just been, I think for me, the biggest thing to stay away from it is I just try to take more time for myself, by myself, not with other people. Doing exactly what I want to do, just being alone. I think like my alone time is something I value deeply, extremely deeply. I spent most of the day alone. Just chilling in my little studio room on the Xbox, playing a little game, enjoying my time, just decompressing. It's been a stressful week, been a long week, so it was a much needed rest time for me. Because I've been out and about, running, going, talking to people, doing stuff, this, that, and the third. It was a much needed just like decompression. And like I said, my job revolves around helping people. I'm a tour guide. Yeah. And on top of that, I'm a manager there, so I'm also expected to train and uphold standards.
You gotta be on it.
So I'm on it. I'm really helping people. So when I come home from work, I'm so mentally exhausted that like it's hard for me to even like after work take time for myself. I either go hang out with more people and drain that social battery more and help people in the process because that's just who I am, or I go home and I sit in a dark room for 2 hours, don't say a word to anybody or anything, scroll for 30 minutes of that, and then just kind of sit there and decompress and let go. So days like today I really value because it's a chance for me to get back to me You know what I'm saying? Whether that's working on my music, whether that's playing some games. And even if that is going and hanging out with people, it's on my own time. It's by my own doing. Nobody's like, oh, we're going out after work, you should come. And then we go back and forth for 15 minutes and I finally give in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Go ahead, go now.
Fine, I'll go, fine. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's like, hey, yo, what you doing today?
Yeah.
Bet, I'm pulling up. You know what I mean? And that to me is how I've been able, as of recent, to try to maintain that balance and not lose myself in helping people in life in general. You know?
You know, it's so crazy, man, because like when I even thought about this question, it's like there's a lot of people who are actually just being a light out there in the world.
Yeah.
And just drain. Because the more and more you give to others, the more and more you need to replenish. That's why we have our retreats that people go on, and people go on sabbaticals for those who may be religious. Like, just a reset, man, to get to the epicenter of yourself. Like me, like, for me, what helps me the most is sometimes it's just that moment of reflection and just listen to music, man. You know, on my way driving, it's a 7-hour drive, as you know, in Louisiana, man. And what I loved and enjoyed the most is the moments where my wife and daughter would sleep in the back, and I just could listen to music, man, and just think.
Yeah.
And as you know, somebody, one of my students, he calls it him and his father, something about the orange stiff or something about in that part where between Lake Charles and Baymont, how it's like the orange stretch or something like that. Because there's nothing, like, literally, if you ever drive, you go through there, it's like nothing really there. All you see is just trees and road. That's it. That's it. And so, like, I could just be at peace with my music. And I was listening to this song called The Good Life. And the artist, when he was talking about this just space where everything is just good and at peace. And it made me think about, that's like literally where we need to be at when we're constantly giving to others. We need to find our space where it's just peaceful, where it's just quiet, where we can replenish, where we can reflect, when we can forgive. Sometimes that forgiveness portion, you know, I think it's so amazing when we oftentimes they talk about self-care and they have somebody come to your job or workplace, if you've ever experienced this out there, and they tell you to take a moment of silence. And what's crazy about it is when you start to take a moment of silence, how many people just start to cry? And be like, not even crying about anything like that is sad, but just start like tears just run down the eye. It's because we take on so much throughout the day. And it's like our body's just like, I need a moment just to release. I need a moment to be at peace. And that's when I find that we lose ourselves, is that we don't give ourselves a moment of peace, ourselves a moment of quietness, that we feel sometimes, and this is for those who are out there who maybe call themselves a socialist or something like that, who are very sociable or just outgoing, I would say outgoing, where they're constantly being out. I know for me, I love being around people. I get a boost of energy of being around people. But sometimes it's just, you need that moment just to quiet, to release and relax. And sometimes you do need the moment, if you're not as outgoing, to get around people to boost that energy. But you gotta find a balance. And that's the key, is finding a balance and just being okay to release, man.
Absolutely. Because the thing is it's like, I think if you are somebody who, likes being around people, that brings you up, and also, like, you have this innate desire to help people. Right. Everything in your life is surrounding helping people, right?
Yeah.
If that's the case, we have a tendency, I feel like, to fall in this bad habit of going too far to one side. You go too far into that one side, you lose yourself, you don't have a second to breathe and do something for you.
Nah, that anxiety, bro.
And then you switch, and you go so hard right back into yourself that now it's like you haven't spoken to anybody for 3 days, and you've been in the same room for 3 days in this pit or whatever the case may be, but you've isolated yourself now. And that was something I struggled with. Still somewhat struggle with is I isolate. I'm bad about it. I'm real bad about it because I'm a creature of habit. Once I start a routine, I get stuck in that routine. So I fight with myself daily to stay in that middle ground. Hey, go do this thing. I know you don't want to get up and put real clothes on and go put your contacts in and get in the car and drive however far you got to drive, but like it's going to be worth it once you get there to get out. And the same goes for, I know you don't want to go home and be alone with your thoughts right now, or like go breathe for a second because you're running from something, obviously, but you need to go release. And it goes to a common problem that we as men have where, you know, we run from problems constantly. We run from our problems. We bury those problems. We can't face them a lot of times because, I mean, growing up, we're taught and told to, you know, hey, be stoic. Can't show emotion. Yeah. You're a man. Yeah. No. Yeah. That's so bad for you. Right. That's so bad for you. But because of the way we're taught, and not just by who raised us, but also by what we're surrounded by in society, media, TV, music, all of that, it's always preached that. Always.
Well, you think about it, I mean, you kind of get rewarded, especially as a man, by being invincible. Yeah. Right, like you get rewarded. Yeah. Like those who are like seen as invincible, that just runs through a wall and stuff like that, in a sense, like they get praised. Yeah. I mean, they get glorified. That becomes the thing as a man where you almost feel like I gotta be invincible. Mm-hmm. And talking about that in conjunction with the inner me, it's like, we are not invincible. Mm-mm. We are human beings. Like, it's great to see superheroes, but even what I love about the superhero movies is they show a part of them being human as well. Yeah. So it makes us related to them as well, because we realize that there's always a human aspect that you will need some type of help in, some type of guidance in, some type of release in, where you need to reset. But you talk about as a son, as a brother, as a friend, even as a father, this notion of being invincible when we're not invincible. Mm-hmm. We're not. Mm-mm. You know, not to dive too deep, but I was thinking about, I'm a Lakers fan, of course, and I see what happened with AD. He get a hit to his head. We like, oh my goodness, be invincible. Like, he ain't getting no hit to his head. Some people laughing, oh, he's in a wheelchair. Like, it's that notion, not saying that everybody was laughing, but it's that notion that you're a man. Mm-hmm. These problems shouldn't knock you down. When it's not that the problems need to knock you down, it's that you need to find an outlet to cope with the problems. Mm-hmm. But when your outlet is everything else, then there's no coping. No. So only it's just a deflection, or I'm not going to deal with it at all to isolate.
Exactly. And I'm the world's worst about it. Always have been. I stuff things down. I ignore them. I don't want to deal with my problems. And that goes from everything to that little pile of laundry in my room down to deep emotional trauma that's been sitting for years that I refuse to deal with. Eventually, it's going to come to a head at some point. Yeah. Eventually, you have to deal with it. You have no choice. Right. If you deal with it now, it's easier to deal with. When you deal with it later, not only is it harder to deal with, you're probably going to hurt somebody in the process. I can't tell you how many countless times, because I wanted to be the stoic hero and invincible, and I can't be phased or broken. I can help everybody around me. Well, I'm not helping myself. Right. And then I explode. Yeah. And the people around me are like, what the hell? Yeah. You said this, you did that. What is wrong with you? I've never seen you act like this. Like, and now everybody's mad at you. And it's not because you showed a sign of weakness once, which is what a lot of men think. Yeah. They have that explosion, and then they get that response from their friends and the people around them. Well, they don't see you act any sort of human emotion other than upgoing.
You're spot on.
And it's not because you showed emotion for once. It's because you exploded.
Yeah.
It's because you didn't deal with it. If you'd have dealt with it and been vulnerable and addressed your problems, it wouldn't have been an issue.
Yeah.
If anything, the people around you in your life, they would have come around you and helped you the way you helped them. Instead, you explode, you hurt them in the process, and now they're like, what?
Yeah.
And that, as men, we don't, to your point, to the entire point of this entire series.
Yeah.
We as men don't address the inner me.
Yeah.
Hardly ever. Not nearly enough.
Right.
Only when it's something very small or minute, or we just want to go do something for a day. You know, a lot of men, they just want to go play Xbox or watch the game with the homies.
Yeah.
That's great. That's good for you. But that's not addressing something deeper. That's not addressing something that, you know, a prime example, you just had a 3-hour-long phone conversation with your closest friend, right?
Yeah.
He's going through something. He came to you. You gave him the best advice you could. Y'all talked through it. You let him go on about it, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
9 times out of 10, you're dealing with something very similar, but you don't want to be the one to approach.
Yeah.
And so then you let it sit there. But you go watch the game with the homies, and that's taking some you time. And it is, but it's not. You're not doing the work.
Right.
You're not doing any of the work. That's like painting a strip of a house that is condemned.
You know, it's interesting because you talk about a house, and I thought about this. I was like, if our life was really like a house, like a home, what must stay and what must go? How would you decide that? How would you decide that?
This is tough, you know. This is real tough. Because here's the thing. I'm somebody who I try not to have regrets in life.
Yeah.
There's always something to be learned.
Right.
But at the same time, you can't keep bad things around.
Yes.
And if your life is like a house, you have to stop and look at it from a standpoint of like, what's going to hurt the foundation? What's going to hurt? This is a weird analogy, but it works. What's going to hurt the resale? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's going to hurt the value of your house? We value ourselves as humans, as men.
Yeah.
And we have what we feel we're worth, right? So if we have what we feel we're worth, you look at it like a house. Yeah. In that case, you're looking at it, well, this thing, that person, this really bad habit, it's devaluing my house. This wallpaper from 1982 is devaluing my house. This thought process from 1982 is devaluing me.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
ooh, and what just came to me, man? What came to me is like, I always think of the worst thing about some house, even some of these apartments, is when they just repaint over something that was damaged. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I feel like just like a house, that's where you decide on what must stay and what must go. Mm-hmm. It's that it should be a principle that I'm not going to repaint over something that needs to be addressed. And I feel like going back with the inner me is that sometimes we like to repaint over what needs to be addressed.
yes.
And we think that because we repaint, that it's no longer damaged because by the eye, people can't see it.
Exactly.
But when they get to know the inner you, they see it clearly.
It's
you get what I'm saying?
It's when you put the picture over the hole in the wall.
Right. They ain't gonna see it.
Hey, you can't see it, but it's still there.
It's clearly still there.
When you try to sell this house in 10 years, that real estate agent is going to tell you, hey, you can't sell this house with this
and
hole.
What do they usually go when people that's in construction and stuff, and I look at some of these home shows, what they usually do, they try to see inside the house. Mm-hmm. They try to go in and make sure it doesn't have any mold in it. Mm-hmm. But like you said, if we keep on painting over it, that's when the house gets moldy.
Uh-huh. And to your point, it's like you have that one problem you've been ignoring for however long, but it's the longest thing. You just keep stuffing it away in a corner and doing this, that, and the third. That's how mold grows. When you don't address something in the corner, and then you look over there and you're like, damn. Yeah. Now I got mold, now I got a bigger problem to deal with. Then if I'd have just dealt with it in the first place, I wouldn't have this issue to begin with.
Yeah.
And I love this analogy because you can go so many different ways with it. Like, as men, I feel like we let the deepest parts of the foundation get bad before we deal with something. One thing, and I don't want to do a comparison here, but it is like, one thing I do feel like women are really good at is addressing problems quickly. Women are problem solvers. And I think women, when it comes to the inner you, the emotional side of you, that vulnerable state, they're really good at addressing a problem before it gets too bad. It may get bad, they may ignore it, we're all human, we all do that. But we as men, because of the way, like I said earlier, the way we've been taught and raised by media, parents, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, we gotta be stoic. We can't show that emotion. Right. Therapy?
Yeah.
Oh, you weak? You need a therapist?
Yeah.
That entire thought process damages us to a point where we let things down to the foundation rot and go away. And that devalues to a point where you have to do an entire reconstruction on yourself to even get back to square one, let alone being better than you were before.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like what you said too. The shout out to those who are doing those steps as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because like it needs to be applauded and encouraged. Not saying you weren't, but like it needs to be applauded and encouraged because like your point is saying is like that needs to be the forefront. Like if you doing that, like continue to do that. Right? Continue to speak out and speak up like on platforms like what we're doing right here. It's because it needs to be more of that. I feel like what happens is, like you said, not a comparison with women and men. I think what happens is it's more community that's being shown. And it's like you have events this and that, especially for like that are being addressed sometimes for women. I feel like sometimes with men, some of that is not always encouraged or it's not the right source. We have the wrong speakers. And sometimes as it can be dangerous having the wrong speakers speaking on topics that are not meant for them to speak on. Right. And because they're in the wrong spaces. But then that's my encouragement to somebody else, and especially as men too, when we talk about what must stay and what must go, is we must get out of the wrong environments. Mm-hmm. You know your environment is wrong when something in the inside of you is not growing. That's the wrong environment. That must go. Mm-hmm. Because just like a house, if we leave just like we went to Louisiana and say we gone a year, we can't expect our home to still be looking like the way it was because nobody's there to manage it. We have to manage the inner us. We have to come up with some principles to say, you know what, that must go. You know what, that homie and stuff like that. He's cool to kind of hang out with, but I'm going on this level. He's probably not cool to kick. You know, that young lady, she's probably cool to kick it with every now and then, but that's not where I'm going to. Or you know what? I'm not going to plant myself in this situation with this group of people and talk about these type of topics when I know they're not aiming for that. So I'm expecting something out of them that they can't give.
Exactly. And I think that's a big problem with a lot of people, especially younger men. Yeah. Because, you know, you come up as a young man, 18, 19, 20, you want to be friends with everybody. You want to be cool with everybody. I'm out here now. I want to do things. But the thing is, it's like, it's okay to be cool with everybody. I'm cool with most people I meet in my life. Yeah. But there are different levels of relationships that I have with people. And
even on that, different levels. I like how you said that, different levels.
I got two friends. I got my childhood best friend who I've been best friends with since kindergarten. And I got one of my closest friends I've met since I moved from Louisiana to here. And very similar dynamics. But the difference is one, obviously time aside. Yeah. Because time, I think, is an irrelevant factor when you're considering relationships. Indeed. Because me and my girlfriend are just as close, if not a little bit closer than me and my childhood best friend are. Yeah. And she knows just as much about me as he does, even though he's been friends with me for damn near 20 years. Yeah. For me and him, we make music together. We're trying to pursue a career together. We also have a bond where we talk about all of these things together.
Yeah.
Me and my closest friend down here, we have those conversations occasionally, but I'm not going to go sit down and talk with him like, yo, you know, I'm thinking this, and this with music and all that. Like, he doesn't care. No. So then he's not going to give me a response I like. He's going to, rightfully so, he's going to look and be like, dude, I don't.
No, like.
Shut up.
I just say something.
We're at the pool, dog. Shut up. Like, and people get into these circles with people and expect them to be on board with literally every single thing in their life.
Ooh.
You get in these circles with people and it's like,
wow.
And I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. But I've gotten into circles with people and explained, you know, what my goals are in life, what I'm going through, what I struggle with. But I'm explaining it to the wrong people. That's why I have different level of friends around me and relationships around me. Like, so-and-so from here isn't going to have the same relationship with me as so-and-so from back home that I grew up with.
And that speaks to also as well, man. So I've been listening to the book. I'm a big Audible fan. And it's called The Light We Carry by Michelle Obama. And it's interesting because she said something very critical, I think, that some people are dealing with. And I feel like we all have had one time been in this place is, am I good enough? Mm-hmm. And that's the danger when you're surrounding yourself with people or you're talking to people about something that may not even be their expertise or maybe they don't even really care about it, is that we get invested in what they say. Mm-hmm. And it really speaks to what root we feel inside is, am I good enough? Like, and that's for some of these men out here too that do not have fathers out there, is the root of, am I good enough? You know, I was hearing from this one gentleman that was talking one day who didn't have a father in his life, and he said certain things he would do or certain things he would challenge himself in that didn't make sense. It was just to challenge himself because he had nobody pushing him. And it was more so like, am I good enough?
Yeah, it's proving a point.
Yeah.
To yourself, to whoever. It doesn't matter. It's trying to prove a point for no real reason. Like, unfortunately, my dad passed away when I was 11. Yeah. So I spent the back half of my life now without a father. Now, I have father figures around me, and I'm very grateful for them. Yeah. But I definitely, anybody who becomes a music artist, I can promise you, is seeking validation from something. Yeah. They want validation for some reason or another. Yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't do that crazy career field. I have spent my entire life seeking validation from the men around me. Wow. Because I didn't get that after 11. Yeah. And prior to that, my dad was arguably my best friend. We were super tight. He was a source of a lot of validation for me. I did, you know, as a young kid, I did a lot of things trying to be like my dad. Yeah. And trying to, you know, hey, Dad, look at me. Yeah. And he reciprocated. He gave me that validation. Any man will want, man. And I loved it, and then I lost that. Yeah. So I spent the first few years after that fighting against that. Yeah. And then as I've gotten older and become an adult, I've realized all I want is validation from the men around me. Yeah. You know? That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want. And it's a struggle. Yeah. Because you sit down and like, why am I doing these things? Yeah. What am I doing these things for? Right. It's because I'm looking for that validation from this specific person or that specific person. I want my uncle, my grandfather, my closest friends, this, that, and the third. I need that validation from them. Right. I look up to men more often now than I ever did. Yeah. Because I'm always looking for that little bit that I missed from 11 to 18. You know what I mean? And it's been a struggle. It's been a real struggle. Yeah. But I've also reached a point now, I'm 24. Yeah. I've been through it long enough and been aware of it long enough to now know how to start addressing it and to find validation within myself. Yeah. Because seeking validation from others like that, that's fine to some degree, But that's a dangerous road.
Yeah.
It's a real dangerous road. And if you're not careful, you end up to the point we started with.
Yeah.
You look up, you've lost yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to seek everybody else's approval but your own.
Yeah.
What does Marcus want? What does Nathan want?
Say that.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
what do we want? Validate. Find approval with yourself.
Yeah.
Would you approve of what you're doing? Would you applaud what you're doing right now?
Right.
That question's so important.
And it's like, it's interesting you say that because it's like a crazy balance too, bro. Like, I know when I was singing, I remember this one speaker was saying how some people, every time they get done singing, they wait till they get done with church or wherever they at, and they ask everybody how they did. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy, it's a balance because like you do want to know how you did for people, but another part of it, if you constantly saying it, is like, I don't think I did good enough. Mm-hmm. Like, did I do good enough? It's that anxiety. Like, did I do good enough? Yeah. It's like that you said validation. And it's crazy, too, when I think about what you just said, which was powerful, man. That's very powerful. And powerful for those people out there that are dealing with that, man. Because I have no idea. I've had my father in my life. Like, I have no idea. I know what it feels like now not to have any grandparents in my life. Though I did have them in my life, but they just all passed now. And a part of the inner you is the inner them. Mm-hmm. A piece of them, because that's your dad. Like, that's the crazy thing. And when you either lost that or never really had that, it's like the searching of that and the validation of that. Or if you did have a father and that father wasn't present or didn't really teach you how to be a man. I never forget a young man came up and said to me one time, we're talking a conversation with him, he said, my father was present, but I feel like he gave me everything that I didn't need and everything that I needed, he didn't give me. Yeah. And I was like, wow, I never really thought about that. And it really made me think about this question is, what tools do you use to really keep yourself balanced? Or to make sure that your insecurities are not pushing you when you're going through life?
This goes back to, once again, it's still a struggle for me. It's still an ongoing process for me because I'm 24, I'm still young, but I'm also like, it is a constant. I don't think there's ever a point where you find true balance in life. And if there is, somebody tell me, please find it for me. I want it. Please. There's never a point where you reach that. It's always a constant struggle, and you're always going to teeter both sides. You're going to have phases where you're here, you're going to have phases where you're there. I found the best way that you honestly can try to find that best balance possible. It boils down, as much as this is about the inner me and as much as you are important, it boils down to who you surround yourself with.
Say that.
It really boils down to the people around you. Are they willing to call you out when they notice something different? It doesn't have to be a bad thing, but are they willing to call you out and be like, hey, something's up, what's going on?
And are you willing to be okay with that?
Yes. And that's the thing. And here's the thing I think is important, and this is where you have true friends. And this is what a true friend is to me. When you shut up, because every single person on this planet, it's how we're conditioned now. When somebody says, hey, are you good? First response is, yeah, man, I'm fine. Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm chilling.
Say that. Say that.
Do they have a real friend? Do they have that ability to not care about your response to them, to be like, that's BS.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah.
And push it.
Yeah.
And start chipping away at that.
Yeah.
If they do, that's the people you want to surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Because they are gonna make your life so much easier. Because we can only see so much of our own problems. Part of that being we choose to ignore stuff.
Yeah.
To the entire conversation, we choose to ignore stuff.
Yeah.
But because we choose to ignore stuff, especially as men, we have to have people around us to throw it back in our faces and see that.
Yeah.
My closest friends are my closest friends and have been for so long because they were not afraid to upset me by being like, you're bugging, you're out of line, no, something's wrong. I'm not going to let this go until you tell me and talk about it, because I'm not going to let you sit here and stew.
Yeah.
And that to me has been the biggest tool. Obviously, self-care, take time for yourself, spend time meditating, reflecting, writing, all that stuff is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But it does you no good if you have no starting point. It does you no good if you don't know what you're reflecting on. It does you no good if you don't know what you're writing about. Right?
Yeah.
It's like trying to put a trailer out for a movie that has not been even written yet.
Yeah.
You don't know where you're starting. You're just sitting here.
Yeah.
That's where friends are so important, because they can start finding those things for you.
Yeah.
They see it. Your closest friends will see through all your BS.
Yeah.
Without question.
Yeah.
One of my best friends in the world, she knows when I'm full of it, and she
Yeah.
knows when I'm losing it, and this, that, and the third, and vice versa. I know for her.
Yeah.
The reason we've been friends for so long and have such a close bond is because neither one of us are afraid to upset the other. A lot of people you try to appease, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't, either A, I don't want to hurt their feelings and be looked at as that guy, or I just don't feel like dealing with that can of worms right now. Real friends, I don't care. Hate me, be mad at me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm speaking the truth.
Yeah.
You're going to figure it out sooner or later.
And that's really what it came to mind, is that's really a tool. It's the truth.
Yes.
Like, that is one tool, like, that as I got older, I feel like I appreciate even more, is people who dare to tell me the truth. And also a tool for me as a friend is to dare to tell others that I say I'm friends with the truth. And not say it when it's convenient. Not say it when I feel like it's an opportunity, so now I can now attack them when we have a disagreement. No, it's the truth. You got to build yourself to the point where I want people around me that seek to tell me the truth even when I don't want to hear the truth. That's a critical tool. And to surround yourself around things that will allow you to reflect, to find the truth. Like, I feel the older you get, you have to repurpose certain definitions that you had of certain words or certain things in life. And going back to the house analogy, is what must stay and what must go. Some things that must go is my old stinky perspectives. Like, if we just be honest, sometimes we have stinky perspectives that sometimes are not intentional. Sometimes it's unintentionally that we learn either by not being taught, or just learn just by hearing from somebody else, or we just thought was it. But once you find it, seek out the truth, you must let that go and get repurposed perspective. Whether that goes with plans, just like on Monday Motivational, I talked about how we have many thoughts in our heart, right? And so many different plans, this 5 to 10 year plan, and what happens when that doesn't happen. Like, you speak about when you say at the age of 11, you talk about your father passing away, right? Like, in a speaker said, in a moment, you can go from just having a nice day to be like, what the heck happened in the day?
Yeah.
Or just like celebrating the rest of the day. It's like that. And I feel like going back to inner me, we have to really find out those critical tools to keep pushing forward. And a part of that is truth, and I would say belief. And I find for me, I've been personable. I tell people when I was little, my first song was in a church, and it was called Yes, I'm a Believer. For those who haven't heard it, go check it out. For those who heard it, check it out. And it talks about this strong belief this child has in this creator who has saved them. And that even though people weren't there when they had that experience, that it was such a great experience that they are a believer. And I tell people that has been critical in my life, because there's been moments in my life where things have happened and challenges come, And it's been my belief that's held me on, and my belief that's opened different doors and stuff. And I feel that when we talk about tools, we need to talk about truth and belief.
Absolutely. And to the point of perspective change, right?
Yeah.
Something I told my best friend 1,000 times over, and it's something I live by. I've told my brother this. I tell everybody I can.
Yeah.
Life is going to throw you a curveball every day. If you know that it's coming, you can hit it.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
When has a plan ever gone 100%
Yeah.
to plan?
Yeah.
When has a day ever gone exactly how you expected it to go? Not once, never in this entire life
Yeah.
on this floating rock that we're on in space.
Right.
But if you accept the fact, yeah, this ain't going to go how I want it to or what I expect. If you just take the day, how the day is going to come to you, that's when you can hit a home run. That's when you can get on base. That's when you can do all these different things.
Yeah.
Because if you just sit back and want everything to go as you want it to, boy, are you going to be stressed out.
Yeah.
Boy, are you going to hate life.
Yeah.
Boy, are you going to be mad at everybody around you.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get something that's taught to us as you're getting sober and you're going through AA in the program, right? Expectation is just a preconceived resentment.
Say that again.
Expectation is just a preconceived resentment.
Wow.
Not once, ever, has your expectation of something lived up. Something that's always talked about in music. You get that one album every year that's overhyped. We've been waiting on it for years.
Yeah.
All these expectations start building. Every single time it comes out, it's a flop, it's mid, it's this, it's that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, y'all set unrealistic, y'all set expectations in general.
Right.
In all reality, it's actually a phenomenal piece of work, but you were expecting something completely different.
Right.
Now you're pissed off,
Yeah.
and you're getting on Twitter and being mad at the artist. You're the reason you're pissed off.
Yeah.
Expectations are... We should expect certain things from people. We should hold people to standards.
Yeah.
And, you know, we expect for our car to start. We expect for our house to have AC. We expect for these little things in life, for sure. But as a whole generalization, expectations are preconceived resentment. It's a great way. If you have too many expectations in life, it's a great way to get pissed off. It's a great way to just be sitting there sulking for no reason.
And you know what it made me think about too is that sometimes we have to realize, and it's just been, I've been holding on to this even more, is that sometimes, and it's just my belief, that God has to get rid of the old to give you something better. And sometimes we don't have enough room to receive. And then we get frustrated when things are removed so we can receive. But in order for you to receive, something has to make room. And it's just like a house. I can't have this beautiful furniture, this beautiful couch in the house, and I got a pool table in this spot, and I got the TV over here, and I got a table, a full table, a family kitchen table, right? Like it's a whole bunch that it's not making room for the couch. In order for it to make room for something better, you have to get rid of some things. And I feel like, especially in this stage of life, some of us is that we're getting frustrated when it's only a matter of him making room. And maybe this is a shout out to somebody else to understand, hold up, rethink it, talk about repurpose is, could it just be, maybe it's just that this had to happen in order to make room.
Look, I agree with that. One of the worst periods of my life was when me and my ex broke up, and I was in this leeway, just this kind of limbo between that relationship ending. I was at a job I absolutely despised, had zero free time for myself, barely had any money. I was still stuck in Shreveport. I was sick and tired and wondering why my relationship ended. Well, if that doesn't happen, if I'm not in this awful job, I don't move here.
Yeah.
I don't make the decision to move here. I don't get the opportunity to move here. Because if I'm still with said person,
Yeah.
I'm still where I was
Make room.
4 years ago. You know what I mean? It made room.
Yeah.
And that's such a, I love that phrase and I love that idea just because I think we as humans, we get attached to things really easily. Yeah. Like I remember when I was moving a few months ago, I'm going through my stuff as I'm packing up, trying to throw some stuff away, clean out, and I'm like, oh, but like I could use that one time.
Right, no, you haven't used it.
I'm like, and my girlfriend's like, no, Nathan, get rid of it. You haven't touched that in like a year. And it's like, you do like, you have to, not only do you have to make room to bring in something new, sometimes you just have to make room in general. Sometimes you just got too much going on. You don't even need anything new. You just need to clear out some stuff. Sometimes your house is too cluttered. You've been hoarding. You've been holding on to some stuff for too long. You ain't touch it, but you can't get yourself to get rid of it because this, that, or the third. And so now you're thinking like, oh, I need all this new furniture. It's going to make the place look better, get some new flooring. No, what you need to do is clean out the house. That's all you need to do. Your furniture is fine. Your TV is fine. Your floors, your walls, all that's fine. You just need to clean out the house.
Wow. It's like somebody said, why would I complain when all I wanted to do was eat? And what I say with that is, sometimes we have these goals and we have this list that we put up, going almost to the plans, but really like goals we have in life. And yet when it's time to actually get rid of it, we keep it. And I feel like, like you said, it just hit me. The inner me is almost saying, get rid of it. Like, what are you doing? Get rid of it. Like, why are you now attached? Like, it didn't have that much meaning to you, but all of a sudden it was time to get rid of it.
No.
Like, oh, I want to keep it now. It's like, it's the craziest thing, but it's so true, man.
It's so true. You have to make, not only make room for new, but you just have to make room to exist.
Ooh.
You just have to make room.
Wow.
Because, like, a prime example is if you're doing too much with too many people, two jobs, this set of friends, that set of friends, this passion, that passion. You're also trying to have, you know, quality time in your relationship. For you, you've got your daughter as well. And then you also add in, oh, I want to play some games too. There's 24 hours in a day, dog. There's 7 days in a week. We got to work at least 5 of those. For at least 6 to 8 hours every day. So where is the rest of this fitting in? At some point, you have to cut some things out to make time for the things that matter.
Man, like,
And that goes to the point to make time for that inner me. To get that alone time, to get that quality time with yourself, to reflect, to meditate, to do what you want to do, or to go spend time with those friends we were talking about, so you can either have a good time or they can have that real serious conversation you don't want to have. So you can spend time in your relationship and with your family and build that bond some more and enjoy your time with them. Like, if you're doing all these different things at the same time and trying to make it all work, you have to really stop. To your point, what needs to go? You got to stop and look. What really matters to me? Is me doing this little thing with these people I met from work really that important, or is it just a distraction? Or is this group of friends that I hang out with once a week more important to me, and I can take this extra time and put it to better use?
And the crazy thing, when you said that, it made me think about, sometimes we spend most of our time blaming this and blaming that. And really, it's not the house fault. It's not your friend's fault. It's not your girlfriend. It's not your wife's fault. It's not the kid's fault. It's that your thinking is off. You haven't decided yet to make room. And my question is, when will you make room?
It's that simple.
When will you make room? It's like you know what to do already. So when will you make room? Because
but that's so common that people don't make that decision. They just sit on it. But it really is as simple as when will you. All of the entire conversation really can be boiled down to when will you make a decision?
Wow.
When will you make room? When will you stop wasting your time on these things? When you do that, you're good to go. Simple as that.
Yeah. And you know, other question I had for those who feel like, man, you know what? I'm different, man. I've always known this in my life. I've been different. It made me think on behalf of those who feel different, those who feel that they operate with a different map than others, deal with difficulties that others may never see or experience. My question is, how do you walk in cautiousness and also confidence, daring to be bold in spite of the challenges present? Wow, man.
That really boils down to, I think if you're confident in yourself, you're also cautious.
Wow.
The correct way.
Yeah.
You're not overcautious and you don't want to take any risks. But if you're cocky, all you do is take risks. If you're confident in yourself, you're already being smart. Because you know that, I'll figure it out. And that's my life. I have 2 life mottos that I really live by. It is what it is, I'll figure it out. I can't be bothered to worry about, is this gonna hurt me, or, oh, no, I got this, or, man, life is what it is. I'm gonna figure it out one way or another. Let's go do this thing. Or, nah, we shouldn't do that. It is what it is. We'll figure it out, don't worry, but we don't need to do that. It goes both sides of it. Yeah. And that's how you walk that line. Yeah. That's how you walk that line, and you move through life that way.
You know what I found for me, honestly, it's prayer for me, man. Like, I literally, man, I'll go into situation, man, and we have to also realize too that we don't say enough is we got to know when our anxiety is a bad thing and when it's also a good thing. It's all right to be anxious. It's all right to be so super excited about something. It's what we do with it, how you repurpose that energy and or use that energy in itself. For me, with prayer is I give that cautiousness up to God. Like, and then I also, when the moment come, I walk in the boldness. Because I've already released it. And maybe it's not prayer for you. However, finding something that allows you to release whatever you're feeling in order for you to walk in boldness. And sometimes it's not a turn off, turn on switch. Sometimes you need that moment to say, you know what? Almost like in football. I was talking to somebody, one of my students back in Louisiana. His name is Tommy. And we was talking about football. I was telling him I remember my first ever varsity game starting. Yeah. And I remember one of my senior captains was like, Goodner, you all right? You haven't sat down yet. And I remember being super excited because we was a away game. It was a rival game. And we was playing that game. And I had to get on the field. And I wanted to give my best. And I didn't want to be making a mistake or a loss be on me. But when I really thought about it, man, I said, well, they put me as a starter, right, for a reason. Yeah. And 2 is, let's get it. So, and once I got that first play, it was like, oh, this is normal. And it's like, it's okay to feel cautious and walk in caution, especially when you need to, because being different is not easy. I'm here to say being different is not easy. And sometimes it does feel like, what roadmap do I have that somebody else don't have? Like, why wasn't I given that? But then I think about the opportunity of it. Well, man, the man upstairs gave me that map for a reason. Like, he knew I can handle it. And that ultimately, going back to the enemy, when you really dive into it, I'm not handling it alone.
Nope. No. And it all boils down to simply, it's how you use it. That's it. That's all it is. It's how you use it.
Yeah.
How you use what you've been given, how you use the things in your life. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
If you can find a way to be at peace with the decisions you make, because I think that's a big thing. Is you have to find peace with your decision making. If you can be at peace with taking risks, if you can be at peace with taking caution, if you can be at peace with being different or not having the same opportunities as this person or that person or whatever it is, be at peace with yourself.
Yeah.
Find that peace as best you can. Life will work itself out.
Yeah.
Be at peace with you and those around you. And enjoy life. Life's short, man.
And sometimes we got to get rid of this, and I know it's tough, don't get me wrong, but it's okay to be the bigger person.
Oh, yeah.
It's really okay, and you got to find peace in it, purpose in it, and forgiveness in it. Because when you find peace, purpose in it, it will allow for not only forgiveness, but also something to come about that you did not expect. Sometimes we think it's that person or that thing or those group of people that are getting over, but not really. Because at the end of the day, when it's peace, light, and purpose in it, not only forgiveness will happen, but something greater than what you can even expect will happen. And it's okay. It's like literally okay to release it, to be aware of it, and it's okay to also have reflection, a deep reflection. That's the key. Deep reflection with somebody you can, to also for you to see the opportunity in it. When you are different, you have a great opportunity for something great to always happen. That's the key that can get lost, is that you have the opportunity for something great to happen. When you think about anybody who has done something great, our opportunity came off of something that somebody can look at and say, well, man, I may not have been the bigger person in that situation. But because they were, an opportunity for not just them, but for somebody else, for legacies that they may have never, generations they may have never seen and been a part of, for something great to happen. And just maybe you being the bigger person is giving opportunity and way for somebody else you may never see to walk through that door.
I can't say it better. I can't say it better. That's it.
Yeah. Man. Well, let's close out like this, man, because close out, man.
I was like, I'm at a loss for words.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
That was it. I got nothing left to say.
Drop the mic.
Fuck off, dog. You good.
What is a couple messages? Let's think about it like even a boxing analogy, man. You're the corner person for somebody. They're in the corner right now, man. They just need to get replenished. You know, they came here just to get replenished. Maybe they might not be really struggling. It's maybe going back to just being the bigger person and being different. Just figuring out, like, man, what map I have. What message you say?
I can't stress this enough, man. It is what it is. Yeah. Let's get back to work, baby. Yeah. Life is life. If you're struggling, it is what it is. We'll figure it out. Yeah. Let's get back to work. If you're in a good spot, it is what it is, baby. Yeah. Let's keep moving. You know what I mean? My grandmother taught me it is what it is. That's a very common phrase, but that's my grandmother's. That's her phrase. And it has gotten me through some hard times. And I can't stress it. It is what it is, man.
Let's get through it.
It is what it is. We gonna figure it out. Let's get back to work, baby. That's what it is.
Man, that's a good one, man. I would say with that as, I just need you to know, one more yard, one more step. You're not finished yet. Like, there's not one point you're finished. Just keep moving. Like, use those tools as we talked about today. Really get around truth. If you can't even find one person that is, like, right now, you can say that is very truthful, that you can trust in your life. I'm a big component of that. Sometimes I can receive things from just watching and observing others. and listening to others. Find a speaker, find a book out there. The Light We Carry is a tremendous book. I'm not just saying that lightly. It's a tremendous book to listen to. For those especially who feel like, man, I got a different map than somebody else. And then also understand, make room. Make room for forgiveness. Make room for growth. Make room to take time to really work on the inner you and be okay. Because as I say all the time is, you never want the inner me to be the enemy.
Amen.
You never want it to be the enemy. And in order for it not to be the enemy, I must face me.
Mm-hmm.
I must look at me. As Michael Jackson would say, the man in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
The man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror. The father in the mirror. The friend in the mirror. Look in that mirror and be honest with yourself. Be okay with yourself. And it's okay, as I say, for those who feel different in different map. You may feel like you have a different map, but really you just have an opportunity for great opportunity. Absolutely. For greatness.
Absolutely.
And for something special to occur. Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
Indeed, man. Well, this is another episode of Who You Listening To with Marky B and my main friend right here as well. I'll say my friend right here, Nathan Washer, man. Had a great time.
I did too.
Hey, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. All right, we out.